Right, Alan, you can go.
Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to have you all on the webinar of Workplace Wellness Association of South Africa. My name is Alan Fritz, and one of the directors of the association. We have lined up very topical presentations for you. Our chairman will come in now, and going to give a short introduction on him. We have the expert Ellery Jooste that would give us some insight. But it is a very important topic, in particular where we find ourselves post-pandemic, where wellness and mental health is very topical right up to the United Nations level. I'm going to, without further ado, introduce George Marx, a man that's been around the block for many years, academic, worked in actuarial environment for very long, and many view him as the father of actuarial science. I've personally worked with him in the healthcare environment, and we look forward to your insight, George. So welcome, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends. It's really a privilege for me to welcome you all to today's webinar hosted by the Workplace Wellness Association of South Africa. In short, we refer to it as WWASA. Thank you for joining us as we explore the transformative potential of workplace wellness in shaping healthier, more productive organizations. As chairperson of WWASA, I'm proud to see the strides that we've made as a collective in raising awareness about the importance of well-being in the workplace. By the way, WWASA was established yet less than a year ago. Today, we take that mission further, introducing you to the Wellness Wheel, a dynamic framework that highlights the multiple dimensions of wellness. This tool not only addresses physical health, but also mental, emotional, and organizational factors that contribute to sustainable access. Part of the reason why we took the initiative to create the Workplace Wellness Association as an industry representative body is the wealth of wellness interventions, if one can call it that abound out there. Probably the vast majority of those really very meaningful and worthwhile. But to an employer, to get to the point of, okay, now what do I do? Which actions do I take on? Which interventions do I assist with? And which do I leave? That's a difficult task, and that's partly why WWASA was established to help in that endeavor, so that an employer can strategize practically within what's in its budget to embark on this wellness journey, workplace wellness journey. In other words, employees as well as their families, towards being more productive as a workforce. Why is this important? Because the challenges we face in the workplace today, stress, burnout, declining productivity, increasing healthcare costs, are not merely HR issues. They are business imperatives. The wellness of a business's workforce directly impacts the organization's ability to innovate, grow, and succeed in a rapidly evolving world. At WWASA, our commitment is clear. We wish to empower employers and employees with actionable strategies and insights. Through platforms like this webinar, we provide tools to not only address these challenges, but to turn them into opportunities for growth and transformation. The transformation that we speak of here is a transformation from the whole paradigm of sickness care to health care, and read within health and wellness. That's the transformation that we're talking about. Today, you will hear from some of the most knowledgeable voices in workplace wellness. Our keynote speaker is Elmarie Jooste, and she will take us on a journey through the wellness wheel, offering practical steps to align wellness strategies with organizational goals. I encourage you to engage, ask questions, and share your thoughts, because collaboration is the foundation of progress in this imperative. Before I conclude, I want to remind you of one thing. The success of wellness initiatives doesn't lie in grand gestures. It lies in consistent, thoughtful actions that show your employees that they as employees matter. Every effort, big or small, builds trust, fosters engagement, and ultimately contributes to a thriving workplace culture. Together we can lead the way forward and towards workplaces that prioritize wellness and redefine what success looks like, not just in numbers, but in the lives we touch. As an actuary, there's a little story that I'd like to share with you. When actuaries write exams, and many of you may know they're quite difficult, not easy to pass all of them, or at least not the first time. So in the years when I wrote these exams, decades ago, there were a series of so-called intermediate subjects, and then thereafter there were the application subjects. The intermediate subjects covered disciplines like economics, statistics, probability theory, compound interest, and the last two of those at the time were called life and other contingencies, and the last subject was mortality and other actuarial statistics. In short, we refer to those two subjects as life and mortality. So as I've said, it's a rather challenge to pass these subjects, and mortality was particularly the most difficult. So you wrote life, and if you were lucky to pass, then you wrote mortality. And then the saying went, if life doesn't get you, mortality will. Now, life in the context of promoting wellness, in our instance, particularly workplace wellness. Wellness is about living life so that mortality doesn't catch you. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, as they say, there's only two things that are certain in life, death and taxes. But may I share with you, out of personal and others' experiences, there's actually a third universal truth. And that is that your teenage son will ruin your car. With that, it's my honor to officially open today's webinar. I'll now hand over to our Master of Ceremonies, Alan Fritz, to guide us through the rest of the session. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for your insightful opening remarks to this webinar. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is a renowned person. I've shared corporate life with her for about 10 to 12 years. She has been in the forefront of workplace wellness and has done lots of research across the globe and spent hours looking at what's the best value proposition to bring to employer groups like yourselves, but also to the individual, what will work for the individual in the work environment, outside the work environment, in terms of the wellness wheel that you will present to us. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Elmarie Jooste, quite renowned person in the space of workplace wellness that will guide us through the process in terms of how to go about identifying and implementing and also resource requirements for such programs. Almarie, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that there's a way that I can switch off the camera, but or the recorder, but I don't know where, and I'm too scared to try. So I know that you can see me, so I need to behave because I can't see myself and I can't pull faces. But good morning and welcome at today's session. I'm Elmarie Euston. I don't know about the renown part, but for the past 24 years, 25 years, workplace wellness program was my passion. Or don't have any official training in it. I have kind of a lot of experience in what does not work. And you will agree with me, the past 10 to 15 years, if we speak about workplace wellness programs, we spoke about doing health risk assessments, arranging programs for people to lose weight, arranging programs for people to move more or get fit. We made sure that they are aware about the preventative care benefits, and such as the flu vaccine. And those that went a little bit further incorporate the disease management programs in the wellness programs, such as the HIV program or the diabetes program. And those corporates that I of introducing primary health care clinics on site, and by that making sure that the employees have access to quality care. But that was what we know. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Mental health, employee assistance programs. That was the basket of services that, if you speak about workplace wellness program, then people will say, yes, we have a wellness program and this is what we offer. And that is where it stopped. But the work or the world of work has changed. And we can, up to a point, blame the pandemic for that. I know the pandemic forced us to change the format of our wellness programs to be more virtual than face-to-face for 2 years. And I was surprised by the speed that we could do that, or medical schemes overall could do that. The changes and the urge from the employee side to have a different way that we care about organizational health started long before the pandemic, but it forces us to rethink the way that we offer our employees activities and interventions aiming at creating a healthy workplace. I think, and I know, that we are moving from seeing a wellness program as a separate unit that's done by the HR department or the employee wellness department to the core of a corporate culture. And I think in the future, we're going to speak more about healthy corporate culture elements. It's already part of to start realizing that people want different things. And there was a study done by McKinsey and company that they focused on other initiatives that we can incorporate. But there was something that I agree with them and ignite in me some thought of during the experience that I had with corporates, and that is we never or we seldom measure the outcomes of our interventions. We seldom measure the success of the program. We seldom go back to the employees or the participants and ask them, are you happy with what we offer? We just carry on year after year. Now, when I say we, I mean it's not directed towards you, but corporates in general. But we focus providing the had it, but we didn't measure it. And so we can't really say whether it's working or whether it's attending to those risks that we identified. Now, in a study that I've done in 2023, that have involved about 1,000 employees, but not from one employer group, a vast number of employer groups, I wanted to see and to measure whether having a wellness program offered to your staff, whether there's a link between having access to a wellness program and your perception of your organizational support, whether there's a link between the two. And I also ask in this survey whether normal object wellness activities, and are those in line with your preference? If not, what else would you like? And then I was amazed by the responses I received. First of all, which it was to me a surprise, was the fact that when they answered, yes, my corporate offer wellness program, and I asked, are you taking part in these interventions? They say no. But then when we ask, do you think your company support your health? Then they say yes. So whether or not they're taking part in it, they perceive it that the company is caring about them as employees. Also, when we tested the interventions that most companies offered, as I named earlier today, then I tested it, I listed a lot. Lectures, information sessions, and I asked them to tick if that is offered, and then whether they attend, and if they attend, rate it, and then although they don't attend, what's the weight of importance they link to it. And to my surprise, most participants, and this is people ages 35 to 55. Now, I'm 55 and I see myself as a very young person. So it's within 35 to 55. And then I had a different survey for the younger generations. But all of them indicated that they would like to know more about relationships. Relationships, the parents will say how to manage your teenager. I don't think you can manage a teenager. I never met a mom. Needed help with the daily relationships. Other things were like, how do I handle conflict in the work? I deal with my supervisor that don't understand my chronic condition, that there's certain things and certain times that I need to to not be at work because of my chronic condition. And also they indicated that they would rather listen to either how to prevent being diagnosed with a chronic or a sickness condition than to go for an individual consultation at a biokineticist or a dietitian. And I'm not pointing at certain schemes offering it, but they are more keen on taking part in the group activities because that ticks the box of a social wellness. Again, doing something in the group and building that connection in between or with each other. So this made me think, and also we start reading on what is the offering that the new, I did not yet meet the new work of world of work is work, but if you think about somebody speaking about the new world of work, you immediately think it's working from home or having a hybrid work situation, which is not the only way, because the new world of work also include that my work conditions influence my family and my family influence my community. So I prefer, and I would appreciate it, is whatever my employer offers me and perhaps teach me, that I know enough to go educate my family, and from my family, it can go into the community. So we're moving in from a employer-directed intervention strategy more to and Professor Marx used the word a transformational the family as large, and more about the relationships. For us to change the community, we need to start somewhere. And we all know that we need to change the health status of the society at large in South Africa. But the task is too wide for us to address. We need to start somewhere, according to me. And the workplace is a good place to start with it. So if you speak to a manager or a CEO, they would tell you that the purpose of a wellness program is to make the employees healthier, reduce absenteeism, reduce presenteeism, and make them more productive so that production goes up and my bottom line needs to be also increasing. And it's true. If you look slightly lagging behind, as you see there, it is 2021's data. But I just want to throw it in here that if you're speaking to employees and you speak about wellness programs or health awareness campaigns, and you link the reason for having a workplace wellness program to productivity, I can warn you, this is the easiest and the quickest way that you can harm your own program. Because focusing on productivity, you're only focusing on one stakeholder. And I think it is, sometimes I think it's the main reason why participation in wellness activities is so low. It's because people focus and emphasize the fact that it is to get you all healthier so that you are less absent and work harder. Yes, it's true, but don't, because you can harm yourself, and the attendance will definitely be lower. Focus on the benefits that it offers to the other stakeholders. And we're coming now to a topic that I'm very, very keen on, and that is we need to start changing the terms that we use. We need to start to speak less about implementing a wellness program and start speaking about we are establishing a caring corporate culture or a healthy corporate culture. Because in a study that was done by Spencer and Stewart, they publish a list, and it's from the most impact to the least impact, and they only highlighted 8 key factors of what employees regard as most contributing to a positive experience of a corporate culture. And the number 1 element is caring. I think speakers highlighted the fact that we need to stop thinking about the numbers and thinking about what can we do to take care of our people. And I think this is proof enough that caring and having a caring corporate culture is very important. But although they say they, it's not worried about the productivity, they indicated results as the second highest, but the results were linked to the performance of the company, the pride that they have in a business, being employed at a business or by a business that make positive results and make profit or delivering results every year. And it also linked with a third one, which is the link. There must be a connection between the individual and the purpose of the company. So yes, they are interested and they value the results, but they value the results because it gives them that pride. And to be honest, I think it gives them a bonus. Emphasize that they're proud of their business, the company that they work with, but also provide them with safety for their families and not worried about being retrenched. The third one, purpose, is you will later on see when we go through the dimensions of the wellness wheel, that the connection an individual have with the purpose of the company, it emphasized to me the link between a culture and a healthy culture and then the purpose of the business. If an individual can connect with the purpose and he can understand that my little role that I play here in the library fit into the purpose of the university overall, and I'm part of this whole family, it gives them meaning, and that gives them a positive reaction and a positive thinking and perception about the culture of the company. Learning, strangely, it comes through in the Wellness Week. We'll again, learning one on a daily basis, whether it's a skill that you learn or a competency. It doesn't mean that you need qualification after qualification, but people want to understand what they're doing, why are they doing it, and that all contribute to experiencing the culture then as caring and positive. Safety refers to the environment that they are in, whether it's safe in terms of the environmental factors, whether there's noise, what do you call it, noise, or there's a water need, or the electricity is not on, those kind of things, the safety. But it also relates to the safety in terms of relationships that they have with the direct peers, their team, but especially with the supervisor. Because we can easily create a corporate culture where people are too scared to question something. So they don't have that safety feeling. If there's favoritism in it doesn't matter, because that person will be promoted, or there's a chance that I will be let go because my boss prefer the other one. So it's important to link safety to the social dimension, but also the environmental. Order. It's not only children that need boundaries and order. Adults in the workplace, order gives them safety. Order gives them the fact that they can predict what's going to happen. If this is happening, this is what we need to do, and we can start doing it. Order means it's not chaos. Some things are happening in a certain process. There's a process description. It gives them that, again, safety in the, but also a caring corporate culture. Authority is extremely important. Authority is not only the leadership, but it's more the power that you have to make decisions within your sphere of your specific task or role. And very strange to me is last moment, clearly people don't want fun at the workplace, but elements that they measured. So 8 is half, it's 50%. So it's not low, but enjoyment is directly linked to the social wellness wheel, but it's also linked to all the other dimensions of wellness, because people want to have fun while doing a fun walk around the block, or competing departments against each other. So enjoyment is not only fun, but it is something that they enjoy doing. And that is why it's so important to me that we survey our employees whether how do they experience the interventions that we offer to them. Now, finally, we got these, it's not new. All what we did is we took all the research and we had to pick, I had to count it quickly, in our framework, and you will later on see that we included in our offering as benefits to our members. But we included these because it's important if we go back to the caring culture and the physical wellness. Although it's a techie there, it includes everything that we used to, the preventative benefits, the dietitian, not the dietitian, but the making healthier choices with regard to what I eat, when I eat, that the cafeteria of the healthy products or meals, and not only hamburger and chips. And also the element of your disease management programs, your, I did say preventative care, screens, flu vaccines, mammograms, those kind of things. So that is more or less, in my mind, what we have done for the past 10 years. And what we now propose is consider to include some of the others, if not all, dimensions. Because if you listen through the description of each of these, you will immediately note that most of you by a different department or a different business unit. And what we ask or suggest you to do is to incorporate it as part of your establishing of a healthy or a well-being culture or a caring culture. The first one is emotional wellness. Now, you will see that I intentionally left out its mental/emotional wellness. But when we speak about emotional wellness, it includes the mental health part of it. It includes the cognitive ability, the psychological health of your employees, the access to help. I know that since the pandemic, mental health and emotional unwellness increased in corporates with like lightning. People struggled, and mainly, or I think personally, a lot of families lost the income, or one of the breadwinners lost the income, and is now one person or of the whole family. But financial pressure and the returning to the workplace or hybrid working arrangements, everything add to the emotional stress that people go through. You know all about EAP and employee assistance programs. I think South Africa has one of the best EAP offerings available. They do excellent research, and there's a lot of publications that prove that what they offer is well thought through, it is scientifically developed, and it adds value. When we go to social, and I'm not very true to my gender, I'm not following any sequence, you can clearly see. When we jump to the social wellness, that is the positive and the supportive environment or atmosphere that people work in. Now, it's not only with your co-workers, but it's also healthy relationship with those that you report to or those that report to you. And then the ability or the opportunities that we create that people or they co-employees and learn from them. We are living in a diverse culture and diverse society, but I don't think we know each other that well. And people indicated in the research that they want to learn about traditions and cultures of people that's not of the same culture than them. Social wellness is also about external relationships, and it linked closely to me with the emotional wellness as well. Financial wellness, most companies offer financial advice, or people that offer financial advice of employees in order to avoid money-related stress. in one of the places that I worked years ago, we were measured in terms of, as if you're a supervisor or team leader, you were measured whether your team experienced stress. Now, my team experienced stress. Not that I don't create it, I will admit I do create stress, but I knew that they are experiencing financial stress. And I can't give them an increase. We work according to a budget within the company. So stress is not always work-related. And I think I'm going out on a limb if I say that in our country, especially after the pandemic, the stress levels and financial hardship goes hand in hand. And that is why the mental health part is also increasing so much. Then I jump again to the spiritual wellness. Now, I tried always to avoid it because, first of all, I didn't understand spiritual wellness, and I had to learn first before I can have an opinion. But spiritual wellness is seen as fostering a sense of connectedness with a higher purpose, and a development of resilience. Now, I think if you don't have resilience in today's workplace, you will struggle. And any activity or intervention that we can arrange that provide people a way of building the resilience levels and connecting to a higher purpose encourages mindfulness, clarity, and then especially a connectivity about with the purpose of the company. Now, some of our companies, say, for example, you work for correctional services, there might be a struggle between the two. But if you work for a educational institution, there's easier connectivity and there's meaningful connection between what you are doing and then what you feel you were supposed to do on earth while you're here. Occupational wellness was also new to me. That is fostering a sense of purpose, again, and contentment in the workplace. It might involve providing resources to help employees identify and pursue their career aspirations and to manage their workload. I see occupational wellness as what happens within that business unit. Are the employees overloaded with work? Can they cope? Do they have the equipment to do what we expect them to do? Do they feel free to mention and to say, "Sir, madam, we can't capture so much data." So it creates that unease in the workplace if there's not a basic respect between the parties in the work or in the business unit. But it also, occupational wellness to me, link with the culture of caring and the health culture, well-being culture that we want to establish in the workplace. For me, it's also if the CEO is standing in front of the employees having a personnel meeting with a cigarette in his mouth, I have a problem with the occupational wellness. It's also if we expect our staff to work overtime, weekend after weekend, take work home, there's no life and work balance. And this is also where burnout and really chronic conditions start, because people feel that they can't cope. The environmental wellness have two sides. Environmental wellness is firstly the building, the place that I work in. Is the aircon working? Do we have bathrooms that's working? Do we have water? Is it safe to be there? Do I am I in a safe space? Doesn't something going to hit me on the head? I will tell you a story. I was visiting one of the universities in the Eastern Cape, and every time I'm there, I either fell down. It's nothing to do with the wellness, because I'm just like that, but I fell down. And the second time, one of the TV monitors hit me on the head. So every time I returned home, I was blue, purple, and blue. And clearly my husband thought, I don't know what you're doing, but something is not right. But environmental health is first the physical environment where we live or we work in, but also looking outwards. And especially the younger people, the generation X, A, Z, all of those, -1, -2, you will note that they take more interest in environmental health and environmental wellness projects. They are the ones that can drive a recycling process in a company. People working in a company wants to see the employer helping the community, reaching out. You appreciate that, and we need to establish interventions and programs and activities that would enhance the perception of environmental wellness. And then finally, but not the least important, intellectual wellness. Intellectual wellness linked to where we said we focus on the learning part when we listed the culture elements. And it involves learning, discovering, creative thinking. It involves being allowed to work cross departments on projects, learning from other departments, being able to hear new information that they were not known to, but learning and be allowed to learn. And it's, again, not official qualifications such as the degree that is part of it, but allowing our staff to, like my dad say, use your great stuff on a daily basis. Let them think for themselves, that they, in a group base, develop critical thinking and problem solving, creative problem solving within themselves, and not being only executors of a program. So that is our intentions of what we regard as an effective wellness program and the wellness wheel. Now, I can read minds, and I know that most of you think, but we're doing most of these things. We've implemented a lot of the dimensions already. But again, I'm coming back to the question, how do you measure the impact or the success of these interventions? Do you ask the employees whether they perceive it as being established or created? And then also you might wonder whether your employees have the same expectations or needs that what you've offered. And this is where WWASA or wellness can offer you with scientifically research advice and assistance. And I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about clever people. So the value of being a member of WWASA is basically offer you a toolkit and access to additional services. And there's a reason why we use such a small font in the diagram, because we want you not to see it until you've joined and distributed. But the first element or item in the toolkit, I will read it to you. I need to read it from my bigger screen here. Is first of all a toolkit with an initial questionnaire that assess the current situation, the current climate of your wellness support in your workplace. What are you offering and what's the level of satisfaction? Chris is going to expand on it, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But it is important to know where to start. I always say you need a beginning and don't fix something that's not broken. I hated to receive an email telling me to stop smoking because it's bad for me, but I'm not a smoker. So if you don't have I want to say smoking problem in your company, it's not a risk for your institution. So we need to identify the risks or the elements of the dimensions of the wellness wheel where you are not as strong as you thought. And remember, it's all linked back to creating a healthy culture within your company. Then another block is templates. This is white label templates that's in the toolkit. Communication mentions ideas for posters, for invitations, in order to start implementing your new dimensions within your culture change process. And then we also provide you with examples, or let me rather switch it to see, that's why it's printed so small that so you can't see the mistakes. We have established a list of experts, of providers that focus and is experts on each of these health dimensions or wellness dimensions. And we can offer you access to them, listen to them, what they offer. If it's something that you can do, you don't need to contract or involve procurement, and you do it. But some of the dimensions might be something that you consider that an expert or an external provider offer. We provide you with access to those. And then we provide you with examples and of a list of criteria which you can use to measure their performance and the success of those interventions. And each of the interventions have different measurements or criteria against which you measure the success. And sorry to break it, ROI. There are other criteria that we then we have going to have webinars where experts in the wellness space will explain topics to you, and it will be an interactive process. We will provide you with access to the most recent research information about things that's related to you. And then we can assist with designing the program. But most of you, if you receive the results from the initial climate study, can see what your priorities would be. But we can help and we can assist you with. But most of the corporate clients also have access to healthcare intermediaries who might fulfill that role. And then we have started with training programs. One thing that we identify is that, and I'm not generalized, but sometimes the employees responsible for the wellness program within a company are not really trained and educated in what it is, what's expected of me, what's new, and measure it. So we are busy in developing two trainings. The credit and have really formal qualifications for it, but via a training provider then. And then I left that for last because to me, it is a dream, and a dream can be a nightmare as well. And at this stage, it's turning into a nightmare because of time limits. But what we want to offer our members is a system where you can plan your activities, including all 8 dimensions, with your interventions, with your service providers, with the dates when you have your activities, with the communication that you're going to use. And then when an activity takes place, the survey, satisfaction survey, the number of people who attended it, to capture all those information in one central database for one reason or two reasons. One, to measure each and every intervention's success and outcome. But the second one is to provide you with a tool to compile an integrated report that you can provide to your CFO. I've highlighted the CFO because they usually decide yes or no about wellness activities. But a report of an integrated report of are doing activities. We're going to train them and help them to use the system. The wellness providers responsible for the interventions need to use the system so that you have all the data collected and you can have one vision of where you are, where you're going, and what progress you are making. I know I was warned not to focus a lot on that one because I'm making promises. Before I turn 60, we will definitely have that. We're working very hard on that element or product, as well as the training, because that is for us very important to provide that to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I never in my life talked so much. I think I am. This is the steps, and it is for each and every intervention. Now, I know that the audience are experts in it. This is how we do it. I'm not going to focus on it. I just want to focus on the first step, and that is you need to do an initial climate study or determine where are you lacking, and then from that you can get the buy-in from your senior managers for the project. When I'm not sure for Farnes and Chris whether we're going to share the slides, but once you have, but this is the recipe that I usually follow so that I don't forget about the step when we implement it. I'm going to hand, that is my song. I know that some of you might have questions. We forgot to tell you that you can use the chat box or chat functionality to ask questions or to criticize or suggest, or you can wait till after the session, which is not long anymore, and then we allow time for interactive questioning and suggestions because we need it from you. Thank you for listening, and I apologize if I talk too much, but I'm extremely passionate about healthy corporate cultures, and I want to work or move away from workplace wellness to healthy or well cultures in South Africa. I'm handing over to Alan again to introduce one of our founders and the acting CEO of WWASA, Chris Leith.
Thank you very much, Elmarie, for your insightful presentation. I just want maybe to reiterate, George Marx and Elmarie speaks the same language in terms of how wellness or well-being contributes to a productive workplace environment, and she has more or less outlined the steps and the toolkit that goes with achieving that stated objective. Another element is that she hasn't spoken much about a very passionate subject that she knows very well, and that's the burden of disease in South Africa and how it correlates with the burden of disease in the world. We certainly, if you look at the American profile, are not very far from there, and Professor Marx is most probably the best equipped to share data in the future in that regard. And how to design a strategy that would allow you to prevent the onset of disease is really, really a big part of where WASA is going in terms of its wellness strategy. And I'm sure that you will find great impetus in implementing the wheel of wellness, because that is your ultimate toolkit to unpack where your organization is going. And we are standing by to assist in that regard. Elmarie, just as a reminder, I did put in the chat that members can, or participants can put their comments or questions or views, as you said, that we need some input in the chat functionality. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce, as Elmarie said, our founding father. I can call him a founding father now because the picture on the slide indicates a grey head and a grey beard. Chris Leith has been around the block, the proverbial block, as we always say. Very, very passionate about the subject. He will talk about collaboration. He will talk about our governance structure and governance structures in terms of wellness. Chris, over to you.
So, thank you so much, Elmarie. We did start slightly late, so I'm going to be quite quick on this. But in essence, I want to just take a moment to reflect on this incredible journey today, from George Marx's forceful opening to Elmarie Jooster's powerful keynote address, and the meaningful discussion throughout. I think if we can take one thing that's abundantly clear, it is that workplace wellness is no longer just a nice to have. It's an imperative in the organization. It's the essential foundation for success, a driving force that can transform organizations and more broadly serve as the spark to ignite and sustain the economic growth in South Africa that we all so desperately want. Today's webinar did not only aim to equip with actionable tools like the Wellness Wheel framework and our questionnaire, but also to introduce WWASA, the Workplace Wellness Association of Southern Africa, and what we can do for you. We're proud to be laying a foundation that will officially launch next year on the 20th March, which is coincidentally Happiness Day. And we all agree on how important it is to have happiness in the workplace. This significant milestone will mark the beginning of a bold and innovative movement towards workplace wellness in South Africa. In the lead up to this formal launch, your feedback, however, is invaluable. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on how WWASA can better support your organization and meet your unique challenges, the unique challenges that you face. So please share your insights either via the feedback form or directly with our team. We are here to listen and grow alongside you. At WWASA, we are committed to leading this conversation and providing the tools that you need to make wellness a strategic priority. Elmarie mentioned the back-end system that we are working on, but in the meantime, there's a position paper on our website that illustrates the start of the conversation. So this is just one of the resources that will be available to you. And specifically, it enables you to identify the key challenges the organization face, whether it's burnout, disengagement, rising healthcare costs, but it also presents the solutions, which is grounded in the Wellness Wheel framework. To complement this, we've created a practical questionnaire, a toolkit that empowers you to access the climate of well-being in your workplace. This questionnaire serves as both a diagnostic tool and a roadmap, allowing you to take stock of your current position, identify gaps, and uncover opportunities to grow and thrive. By completing this questionnaire, you'll be doing two crucial things. One is contributing to the WWASA's resource or research, rather, hub, helping us to drive the future of the workplace wellness in South Africa. And two, you'll be gaining actionable insights for your organization, giving you the clarity to design wellness strategies tailored to your unique needs and challenges. So here's my challenge to you. Start with the questionnaire. Use it to establish your baseline, and it'll guide you to the next steps. Share it with your team and leadership. Let it be a catalyst for conversations that align your wellness goals with the organizational strategy. And then thirdly, commit to action. Because the true impact of wellness initiative isn't having the tools. It's in how you use them to create lasting change. As we then conclude, I'd like to express my gratitude, firstly, to the speakers, George Marx and Elmarie Jooste, for sharing their experiences. Then also to Alan Fritz for being Master of Ceremony, and Farnes Engelbrecht for handling all the technical attributes and the secretarial work. And then lastly, to you, the attendees, for engaging with us and committing to make workplace wellness a priority. Please remember, it doesn't stop here. The WWASA team is here to support you every step of the way with resources, research, and a network of professionals dedicated to workplace wellness, as Elmarie mentioned. I encourage you to stay connected, explore our membership offering, and use the tools we have shared today to make a meaningful impact in your organization. Together, we can create workplaces where employees don't just survive, but thrive, where wellness becomes the cornerstone of productivity, innovation, and growth. Thank you so much. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you very much, Chris, and thanks for just outlining briefly the structure of WWASA. and how we can support the corporate organization in terms of executing the Wheel of Wellness or general wellness strategies. Please feel free to drop your contact details. If you go to our website, you'll find our toolkit in terms of services that we offer, how to engage with us in terms of dropping us an email to Farnes, who is the engine room of this organization. If there's any of the speakers that you would like to invite to your own wellness introductions, feel free to let us know. This really is a very, very important and a passionate subject for many of us that's involved. The team is standing ready to support wherever we can. And I want to take this opportunity to once again reiterate what Chris has said. Thank you to our speakers, our chairman, Mr. Marx, and Elmarie Jooste, who has been at the forefront, certainly in the companies that I've worked with her, on creating a deeper understanding of the whole journey of wellness and how the wellness wheel is implemented, and we have achieved some measures of success in that regard. Chris and Farnes, and certainly the rest of our team, Prof. Kid and Prof. Klopper, who has spent hours on researching many of the subjects that's integrated in some of the reporting that you see or some of the presentations. To Andre, good friend of mine who serves on the board with me. Thanks for your input, Andre. Always willing to go the extra mile in terms of digging deep and making sure that we have a greater understanding of our objective at end. Lastly, once again, thank you to participants, and please feel welcome to drop us a note anytime or a call or a WhatsApp. Thank you so much, and thanks for your participation.
If you have a question, you can just raise your hand, but there's a risk that we won't be able to answer it, but we took a lot of time. But you're welcome. Yes, Miss Sydney.
Sydney, you may proceed.
But just unmute yourself, please.
We can't hear Sydney, Elmarie, unless you can hear him.
No, I can't. I've unmute him, allow Mike so he can ask or sing. Or
Sydney, you still there?
anybody else? If you can just raise your hand, we can see it and then give you chance for your question. Chris?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm predominantly just testing the system and maybe also just using the opportunity. There comes Sydney. Let's try again.
Okay. Sydney?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
We can hear you, Sydney.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sydney, Employee Wellness Specialist within the university. And then I've got a question for Elmarie for your presentation. But firstly, let me just appreciate the insightfulness that you gave to us about what WWASA is, and then also the offerings that they are giving to the members. And then we really appreciate that. It is very understandable and also transparent. But the question that I'm having to you is that, like during your presentation, you said the ideal situation is where the wellness programs are also extended to the community, members. But do you think, is it practical to cater all the community members regarding looking at the financial constraint? That is my first question. And then the second question is the issue of your wellness wheel on the spiritual wellness. And then how to deal with the cases where the individual want to undergo the process of WWASA. And then how do you cater that kind of a person? Because is our member, and then in that regard, and then this means we have just to support that kind of a member. And then, but like how what are the processes that we can take in order to support that kind of an employee who want to go to WWASA? And then the last one is but it's just a comment, this one, of occupational wellness. This means in occupational wellness, it's just the employer to create a working environment to be conducive for the employees to work in. Because if the environment is not conducive, at the end of the day, there will be the absenteeism, as you stated, the presentism, as you stated, and then also low morale within the employees. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that one, the third one, it was just my comment. Thank you.
I'm going to answer the community one first. The vision is start with the employee, and the employee will speak to his family, and then the family will then meet with the community and educate, if it's education or habits, but we need to start somewhere. But and that is my first one of the slides that I've changed, said start with the employee, move to the family, tackle the community. But we need to start attending to the health and the poor living choices, life choices that we make as a community or society. And one place that we can start is with the employee, because they are within our sphere. But I know that Professor Marx, you are perhaps better equipped to answer that. But I just focus on start somewhere. I would like to start at the schools, and that, like Ms. McDonald's, the child tell the parents to go to McDonald's because they want that toy. And if we can change that and teach the child to eat a banana, perhaps the mom and dad will also eat a banana. So that is the concept that I had in mind. Professor, if you want to add something.
Very well. Yes, it is a ambitious aim to reach out to the community, and it's not a case of a comprehensive approach, a comprehensive rollout, but rather being attentive to problems in the community, and start to make contributions in that regard. For example, if at the workplace it is already recognized that substance abuse is a problem amongst employees and or their families, to address the root cause, the suppliers of those substances, is then an initiative that will benefit the community. Yeah, but it's quite an ambitious thing to say, yes, we reach out to the community, but it's not a grand plan in its entirety. It is an evolutionary thing, as we can influence employees, influence their families, and on their part carry the message out, at least the message out, that, for example, substance abuse is not on, and we're trying to through the employer being strategically positioned, geographically strategically positioned, to contribute to other initiatives from the community, the police, social workers, etc., and in that way contribute to, for example, solving the problem of substance abuse at the root cause.
Thank you. Chris, do you want to add to the topic? Okay. Sydney, I didn't get your second question, but sorry, Chris, you can.
Yes, let me maybe add there, Sydney. Thank you for the powerful question. I might also be addressing a bit of your second and third question with my comment. But first, in the sense that as George Marx indicated, we understand the long-term value, and as I think it was Bill Gates that said, mankind often underestimate the short-term implication, or underestimate the long-term implication and overstate the short-term implication. But we are really here for the long run, and what is important is that we have actually embarked on a very thorough campaign, which we are aiming to raise money for, to enhance awareness around wellness and well-being and the value of it in the workplace, but also in the greater society. So that is thoroughly part of our aim. There is some very comprehensive models in terms of how some members that is in that business actually want to extend clinic services, not only to the employees, but to the family of the employees as well. So in short, I just want to basically summarize that if all of this is in place, and I think that leads to your second question, it is a strong imperative for WWASA to be involved with aspects that can drive costs down, or rather have sustainable cost increase and not unsustainable cost increase. But I'd like to just conclude with change. It really starts with one person, and I think that's the important thing for us is, Sydney, you need to be the change that's going to drive the change. It's that little cliche of happiness is an inside job. But if everybody starts, we can really create an unstoppable momentum here. Thank you.
I don't know whether we answered your second question. But I totally agree with your comment about occupational health, occupational relationships. You know, it doesn't help us having health days and health days, but the people are unhappy in the workplace. There's no relationships. There's no proper management styles. And I've read about humanism as a way of teaching, and teaching people with respect. And if that's absent in an institution like an educational institution, it will, you know, you can go so much further, and you can win so much people over by having a style of seeing the student for who they are, for what they went through, and then work from there. But I'm going to ask if there's anybody else with a question. Then, Ellen, over to you to conclude.
Thank you very much. Thanks. We are slightly over time, not slightly, quite a bit over time, but safe to say thank you to our speakers. Thank you to our participants. Once again, just to reiterate, we are contactable either via our website or key members, Arnes and Chris, and we would be delighted to be of service to you in respects of wellness, implementation or design of your strategies. Safe to say, thank you very much for participating, and we highly appreciate it. We'll ask you to look forward for further communication. There is a formal launch planned for 2025 first quarter, and you will be receiving information in that regard within the first couple of weeks of the new year. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Everybody.